Hey, thanks so much for joining me on another doujinshi review from White Album 2. Now, today's actually focuses on Mari-san, which I'm excited about because I really like Mari-san as a person, as a character, as a love interest. So let's take a look at the cover here. The title is Endless Snow. Endless Snow is produced by Studio Z.M. This came out in 2012 and it came out on New Year's Eve, which is particularly nice. And again, with the pantyhose theme, Studio Z.M is very much into pantyhose, which is another reason why they probably like Mari-san so much. Now, although it isn't specifically written on the cover, this doujinshi is very not safe for work. The majority of this doujinshi is not safe for work, so we're going to be skipping through, but we will take a look at some of Studio Z.M's art style. And I do highly recommend it just because he is a very good artist. So we're going to skip a pretty huge chunk of this book. If you can see, we're skipping more than half. So basically the premise of the story was Haruki and Mari-san ended up hooking up. And then afterwards, when they both fell asleep, Haruki woke up first and left. So he ended up leaving a note that says he's going to become someone who can be a good worker, be a good person, and signs his name. So he also uses pretty formal language there with her, which is kind of telling. Mari-san reads the letter and immediately is super upset because she told him not to. She didn't want that. She wanted him to stay, was kind of her opinion there. And then starts crying all over the page, which is so sad. I feel so bad for her. Haruki doesn't want to get too close to anybody, even in this doujin. So she mentions, she's getting a bit older. She's worried about that. But she really likes Haruki. And that's what she's saying here. And then at the bottom, I love you. So it's a very strong feeling coming from Mari-san in this book. And then that's the end of Mari-san's kind of route. We move on to see some Kazusa here. So it's a sad ending, as is the case with a lot of White Album 2 doujins, but it is not a happy ending here. So here, we start out in Chicago. And we have Kazusa here complaining about the type of outfit and the type of exposition, the kind of thing she has to do in regards to her music career here. But very beautifully drawn. You can tell this is the line art. Not fully cleaned up line art, more like the sketch before the line art for this part. But it is cool that they included a little after story here. And then we see Yoko just talking about all of the different kinds of interviews and magazines and appearances that Setsuna is gonna that Toma is gonna have to do here. And she actually mentions Japan here, and she's like, "Oh, that's so nostalgic, isn't it?" Yoko talking about Japan and doing some of these things in Japan, but then Kazusa says, Japan, that's got nothing to do with me. And that's so sad. And that's how this little bonus story ends. So Studio Z.M, depressing, I think is something to sum it up. Inappropriate, as far as not safe for work goes. Inappropriate and depressing. But although I do highly recommend Studio Z.M, so definitely a good one to have in the collection if you're a Mari fan, but even this little Kazusa bonus story is nice. The final credits page, unfortunately, is also very not safe for work, so we'll be skipping that. And then the back page is just a blank. 2012, New Year's Eve, Studio Z.M. You can find Studio Z.M. They have their own website, also find them on Twitter, and you can check them on Pixiv as well for that. So, thank you so much for joining me on this doujinshi review of Endless Snow. I'll be putting out more White Album 2 doujinshi reviews in the future, and until then, I hope you take care. See you!